Every child has the right and the need for a good quality education, even children living in conflict zones and refugee camps. A safe school environment provides a sense of stability, security, and hope for today and the future. ADRA Norway is committed to helping children get a good education, even in countries that are in the middle of a civil war, such as South Sudan. Located in eastern Africa, South Sudan is the world's newest country. It is bordered by Ethiopia to the east, Kenya to the southeast, Uganda to the south, the Democratic Republic of the Congo to the southwest, the Central African Republic to the west, and Sudan to the north. It is home to 17 distinct ethnic groups that speak over 60 languages. Of the estimated 11 million population, the great majority are living in remote rural areas, in small traditional villages. While some agriculture is done, most of the people groups living in South Sudan are pastoralists. Following the traditions of their ancestors, they make their living by raising animals, primarily sheep, goats, and cows. After decades of civil war, in which an estimated 2.5 million people lost their lives, attempting to become an independent nation, a comprehensive peace agreement was signed with Sudan in 2005. After a 6-year interim, a referendum was held where over 98% of the people voted to separate from Sudan, and a new nation was born. Gaining recognition from the international community, the Republic of South Sudan became an independent and legitimate country on July 9, 2011. It was a time of great celebration. People were hopeful that they would now be able to live happy and peaceful lives. If they all worked hard, they would be able to build a strong new nation together. Many people in South Sudan understood the importance of quality education in building a new nation. There were very few schools in the whole country, but that didn't stop them from getting started. Village leaders, who may have had some grade school education themselves, began teaching children right under the trees. Aid agencies such as ADRA Norway, with the support of the government of Norway, came to the assistance of the new country by building schools, training teachers, and helping to establish a new curriculum that would help develop strong and capable citizens that would value peace and stability.
Good morning, class. Good morning, madam. How are you?
We are very well, thank you, madam. How are you, madam?
Fine, sit down.
Thank you, madam.
The students that attended these schools sang songs of hope for a brighter future. Unfortunately, peace did not last long. Before the seeds of peace and development could take root and grow, civil war broke out again. This time, it was not with Sudan. Instead, friends became rivals in an internal power struggle between the people of South Sudan over who should lead the new nation. Starting in December of 2013, the disputes quickly escalated and the death tolls began to rise. In spite of many declared ceasefires, the violence has continued, and an estimated 300,000 people, mostly innocent civilians, have been killed. About 4 million people have had to flee their homes because it was no longer safe to stay. Running for their lives, often with nothing more than what they could carry, people hide in jungles and swamps, trying to survive on wild, edible plants. During the summer of 2016, the conflict escalated intensely. The violence against civilians was brutal. Over 2 million people have fled the country to seek safety and refuge in one of the neighboring countries like Uganda, Ethiopia, Sudan, and Kenya. During times of war, when people move over a border and place themselves into the temporary protection of another country, they are called refugees. They are often organized into refugee camps and provided emergency assistance such as food, water, and shelter. Aid agencies such as ADRA help refugees by drilling wells in the camps, helping with shelters, and facilitating food distributions and school feedings. Unfortunately, temporary shelters often turn into permanent residences as weeks turn into years. This is the Kasiba refugee camp in Rwanda. It was set up in 1996 during a conflict that started in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. The people that fled across the border hoped that they would be able to return home in a few weeks or months. They have now been living here for 20 years, as it is still not safe for them to return home. All the children in the camp have been born here, born as refugees. They know nothing of the world other than what they have seen in their small camp. People who flee their homes because of war or some other disaster, but are not able to cross over an international border, are called internally displaced people, or IDPs for short. While they have the freedom to move, they are often in a much more dangerous position. At any time, their hiding places could be discovered by soldiers, and their lives could be at risk. In addition to the threat of soldiers, IDPs face death by sickness and starvation. No longer able to safely plant or harvest their crops, the people of South Sudan are facing a critical food shortage. Because of the uncertainties of war, made worse by a severe drought, many parts of South Sudan were declared a famine zone in 2017. Many people who survived all of the dangers of war died anyway because of a lack of food. ADRA works hard to continue working in South Sudan, even during the present conflict. The ADRA network has been distributing emergency food to help people survive in various parts of the country. In some sections, where it is still somewhat safe, ADRA Norway continues to help provide quality education for children. ADRA is building classrooms, providing teachers with teaching materials, providing safe water, giving emergency kits to IDP families, providing counseling to children who have been traumatized by war, and sometimes by providing a hot lunch at school. For many children living in a war zone or in a region plagued by drought, this is the only food that they will eat all day. At a United Nations session held in 2015, 193 nations agreed on a set of goals to work on together to eliminate poverty and hunger. Through a variety of methods and strategies, these goals seek to provide everyone with a safe environment where they are given opportunities to reach their full potential and live a happy and meaningful life. The 17 goals that were agreed upon are called Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs for short. Sustainable development simply means making positive improvements in people's lives and communities in ways that can be easily maintained by the community or country. The goals are designed to promote a better planet, a better life for people, and better prosperity for all. While the global SD goals may sound simple, in order for them to be accomplished, it will require the effort of everyone working together. The SD goals call for the elimination of world hunger and extreme poverty by the year 2030. The goals call for everyone to have access to clean water and sanitary living conditions where people can enjoy good health and well-being. One of the Sustainable Development Goals states that everyone should have an equal opportunity to get a good quality education. Of all 17 goals, this is probably the most important. It could be said that the ultimate success of all of the other 16 goals rests on the fulfillment of this one goal. When everyone has access to a good education, they are able to rise above extreme poverty and hunger. They become responsible global citizens who care about their communities, their countries, and global environmental concerns. To reach this goal of quality education for all, a lot of hard work needs to be done. In 2018, there are still 263 million children worldwide that are not in school. Many children who do attend school are not learning due to a lack of trained teachers, school resources, teaching supplies, and poor teaching methods. Many children with special needs are being left behind because the teachers simply have not had any training to know how to work with them. In many of the countries where ADRA works, helping people reach the goal of providing a high-quality education is a long process that involves dedication and commitment. First, schools must be built where children can attend. In order for quality education to happen, teachers need to be trained. Local authorities who govern the development of the educational system in their country need to be strengthened. Good quality curriculums need to be developed, and teachers need to be provided with teaching aids. And finally, parents need to be taught about the importance of sending their children to school to get a quality education. Many people living in rural communities have never gone to school themselves and may not understand the value of education. Children in rural communities traditionally begin working for their parents very early, doing domestic chores such as fetching water and firewood. They are given the responsibility of herding sheep, goats, and cattle. Young girls may be pressured to start learning domestic duties early so that they can be married off young.
Is a chief and is a PTA member of the school here.
ADRA Norway forms parent groups in all of the villages where it works so that all of the long-term benefits of getting a good education can be discussed with the parents. They are encouraged to send all of their children to school, including their girls. They are shown that by getting a quality education, their children will be able to access a lifetime of opportunities for success and prosperity that will far outweigh the short-term benefits that they would gain from the children working with them on the farm. Equipped with an education, they will be able to participate in the leadership of their community, the peace and stability of their country, and provide for their parents in their old age. Not all parents catch the vision, but most do, and wherever ADRA Norway has implemented their programs for quality education, the classrooms quickly fill up with students, both boys and girls, eager to learn. In some countries like South Sudan, just when progress starts to be made, conflict flares up and the goal of providing a quality education for children is threatened. In 2018, there are 42 active conflict zones around the world. Over 65 million people have been forced to leave their homes, and their lives have been put on hold. It is during these times that education for children becomes even more important. Children who have faced the horrors of war often suffer from depression and post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. Having a place to go every day in a structured learning environment can help. In refugee camps and post-conflict zones, the socialization with other children, the role model of a good teacher, and the routine of education and learning brings healing and hope. Rhoda is a young girl that managed to escape the violence of South Sudan and is currently living in a refugee settlement in northern Uganda. She tells of her own personal loss and the loss of her friends and just how much it means to them that they can come together every day to learn, sing, and play.
I never thought that I would ever be a refugee, but here I am, living in a refugee settlement in Uganda. I was born in the country of South Sudan. In 2016, the soldiers came to the village where I lived with my mother and grandfather. When I came home from school that day, no one was home. I'm not sure what happened to my family. I believe that they must have run into the jungle to hide from the rebel soldiers. I was home alone for 3 days. I was very afraid, and I didn't know what to do. That is when my teacher, Miss Stella, found me.
She's our neighbor, but she got separated with the parents, and I know her very well. So I felt, let's come together to Uganda. So I just got her and then we come together to Uganda. So that's why up to now we are together.
When I first arrived at the camp, I was very sad. All I could think about was my mother. What had happened to her? Was she all right? Would I ever see her again? For many days, I hardly ate anything, and I didn't want to talk to anyone. But it's better now. Miss Stella has been very kind to me. When we got here, we were given a small plot of land, some blankets, mats, and cooking pots. They also gave us a tent for shelter, but it was very hot. Miss Stella decided that we needed something better. She made some bricks out of mud. Once they dried in the sun, she laid the bricks herself and built us a house. It is much cooler on hot days than the tent, and keeps us much drier on rainy days. I have started going to school here in the refugee camp. Right now, our school is just a group of tents, and it's very crowded. Back home, we would have about 40 students in a classroom. Here, we squeeze together into our desks and fill up the tent with about 200 students. It sometimes gets very noisy with all the children together in one room, but we are still learning. It is also nice just to have some place to go every day and to be with the other kids who are facing some of the same problems as me. My best friend is Joanne. We always sit together. We hope that one day someone will build a real school here and that we will get more teachers so we can have smaller classes. I hope to be able to continue going to school. I would like to go on to university and one day become a teacher like Miss Stella. I would like to work at a school, teaching young children. After school, I really like going to the playground near the school. There are a lot of fun games that you can play there. I like the swings the most. When I come home from school, I help Miss Stella by going to the well to fetch water. Joanne and I often go down together. There are always a lot of people at the well, and sometimes we must wait a long time before it's our turn. Joanne and I also fetch firewood so that we have something to cook our meals with. We are often the ones that help prepare the meals and cook over the stove. After we have eaten, it's my job to wash dishes and make sure that the ground around our little house is clean. After my chores, I like to join in on some of the games that the children in the camp play. Every evening, there's a football game that is a lot of fun, but sometimes Joanne and I just stay close to our homes and play with some of the other kids that live close by. We skip using a jump rope that we have made, or make up our own fun games. Keeping active like this, helping Miss Stella, and playing with my friends has helped me stop worrying about my family so much. I still pray every night that God will keep them safe. At least I still have hope that my mother is alive, somewhere. My friend Joanne is not as fortunate. Her father was killed by the rebel soldiers, and she doesn't know where her mother is. She came here with her 2 brothers and grandmother. When we get sad, we help each other out.
Back at home, we were so afraid that the rebels would come that we were afraid to leave our home. We wouldn't go out and play, and were even afraid to go fetch water. Here it is safe. We can play lots of games with our friends with no fear. We can run down and fetch water or run and collect firewood with no worries. Here, we can sleep peacefully at night.
We are refugees, living in a foreign land, far away from our homes. We have seen a lot of bad things. We have known a lot of sadness. But we are thankful for many things. God has brought us safely here. We thank the country of Uganda for providing a safe place to live. We are grateful to ADRA for all the ways that they are helping the people in our camp. Ms. Stella has joined an ADRA community group that is doing a lot of work to help people get settled into their new life here in Uganda. They are helping people build efficient stoves, giving counseling, and helping protect the environment. We don't know how long we will have to stay here. We pray for peace, but until that day comes, we will do our best to make a life here, in our new home, away from home.
The United Nations has given a declaration of basic human rights, stating that all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. In a long list of basic human rights that guarantee freedoms, equality, and justice, Article 26 states that everyone has the right to education. The Declaration states that the education that is given should promote understanding, tolerance, and friendship among all nations, races, and religious groups. It should advance the cause of peace. As nations implement these basic rights and work toward the goal of providing equal access to quality education for all people, they are building a better future for their country and their people.